Well, everybody, Mr. Laporte, just want to let you know what I've been up to today. Today, I went and voted. I voted. All right. So that was a lot of fun. Unique situation with the pandemic and how things are occurring and how they're conducting the elections. That's a little bit different today. So got to go outside and see other people. That was pretty amazing. All right. So there's a video in Google Classroom. I'll be adding this video. So watch them both. Um, Last week, we asked you to look at uh, Section 1 and the goals and principles of the Constitution. And we should take note that hopefully you finished that and you came up with the seven basic principles are popular sovereignty and limited government, separation of powers, checks and balances, federalism, republicanism, and individual rights. So then we're moving on to section two. Before you get to section two, I added a practice your skills looking at charts and graphs with information. This chart is dealing with the national debt, which is kind of pertinent to our current situation. The debt was not so much in the early 2000s, but answer the questions with information given there. And then today, looking at national debt, we're at $23 trillion of debt. And this crisis that we're in, they're looking at adding $4 trillion of debt to the national debt that needs to be serviced. And one thing I realized is that at $23 trillion of debt, we basically are owing 23 cents for every dollar that we take in. 23 cents of that goes to service the debt. So that means you're only left with 77 cents left to buy tanks and do all the things that government needs to do. Judicial, running the branches, all the cabinets, military, everything that the government does, $7 trillion budget, 23 cents of every dollar set to service the debt. So, just quick estimation that if we add $4 trillion to that, that means now quickly we go from 23 cents that needs to be serviced for every dollar to 27 cents that so quickly we'll be up to 30 cents of a dollar will be just to service the debt. So that's why it's important to look at this information because it's relevant today. Then we're moving on to section two, how the federal government works. And here we have the three branches. What are the powers of the legislative branch, including the House and the Senate? What roles does the president fill as head of the executive branch? Responsibilities there. How is the judicial under Article 3 organized? And then how can each branch then check the powers of the other branches to make sure they're not taking too much power or gaining too much power, too much influence, or doing things that they shouldn't do? All right, so we're moving on to section two. Looking at that, you have setting the scene, which talks about the president giving the State of the Union address. It says in the Constitution that the president every year should address Congress, both houses of Congress, and give them an update of the country's current situation. And then he then gives suggestions to what he would like them to do or the nation to do looking forward. But the president cannot actually sign a bill or not sign a bill, but and try to put a bill on the floor to be voted on. He can only sign a bill when it's done. He cannot submit them in the beginning process. That's only done by congressmen and women and senators. Anything to do with money, though, starts with the House of Representatives. So, looking in your book, go over what legislative branch does, um, and then kind of the terms of office. And these are the things we were talking about before we left. Some of it should be fresh in your brain. Your sheet here is looking at kind of what are the exceptions. Things are written down very clearly, but looking at something like the elastic clause, what is that all about? How is that different from other um, parts of the Constitution that are very specific to the duties and responsibilities? Then looking at the president and the responsibilities of that person, and then the vice president. Remember that the vice president is the president of the Senate, one of the responsibilities that they have. And then how do we elect our president? Electoral college. It's very helpful to be in class, but read this, go through it, and then when I come to you again on Thursday, I will go over the electoral college specifically to answer any questions you might have or clarify a little bit more. All right, then the judicial branch, how is that organized? When we were in our groups looking at, we had 12 um, um, circuit courts and 94 appellate courts, district courts. Then the last part is the checks and balances, talking about president can veto, they can override the veto, they can impeach the president, and the Supreme Court then can rule things unconstitutional. So continue with your packet and section 2 guided reading and review, and then looking at the chart with national debt. So if you could have those things completed by the time that we come back to you on Thursday. And if you have any questions, email me, text me, write in comments anywhere that you can. Appreciate it. Be healthy, be safe. Goodbye.